Now, into the direct boost. This is where we need to pay attention. Direct boost is when we're dealing with the RACS patch. We're going to be able to program everything in units of PSIG. That means that the PSIA reference here, we're going to zero this out. That's not going to be relevant anymore. We don't need to use that. We can go right into our boost targets and program the actual PSIG or gauge pressure reference that we want to run for our target. So in this particular table here, it's referencing PSIA. That is incorrect because the RACS patch is applied. It's actually PSIG. If we go in here, let's just zero out the table first. I'm going to go ahead and set this to something more reasonable that I can expect to reach with this turbo. So 60-70% throttle here, I'll say, let's say 4,000 and above, I'll probably be able to hit 20 PSI. I know that wastegate actuator is 18, 19 pounds. I'll set it to something like that. And then below this is a big turbo, 2,000 to, let's say, 4,000. It's not going to spool much faster. I'll put a reasonable target here. And then I'll back interpolate this to lower throttle angles. 19 throttle to 70% throttle, we'll do H. I'm going to copy this from my high gear table. We have two high gear tables. We're going to paste that into the other high gear table. We're going to go ahead and paste this into the other low gear table and close that out. So we have our target boost error correction. What we want to do with this is these negative values. Looking at our boost error, let's just talk about this real quick. 0 means that we're tracking to the target. So if we're at 0 boost error, we're hitting the target that we want. If we're going to have a positive boost error, that means that we're overshooting our target by a certain amount in a percentage, and it's going to adjust our duty cycle. The duty cycle is what we send to the boost control solenoid to adjust the boost. When we're taking a look here and we're getting negative boost error, that means that we're going in and we're starting to undershoot the target. So we have a rise in our duty cycle. So more duty cycle to the boost control solenoid means more boost. Negative duty cycle is going to be taking away boost. So looking at this, if we're finding a negative boost error, that means we're undershooting the target. We want to ramp up the duty cycle. Positive boost error means that we're overshooting the target and we're going to take away some duty cycle. Now, if we take a look here, -6, -5, we want to go and set this to 0. I'm going to do this specifically because this is our spool up range. When we're spooling up to the target, we want to make sure that we're not ramping the duty cycle too aggressively, which can cause overshooting when we settle out to the target. So I like to go in the first 2 points here and set these to 0, and then go in here and just interpolate that, do V. On our overshoot here, we'll keep these default values. They should work fairly well. We'll run with what's in there. We do have some other patches we need to apply. Let's go ahead and apply this into our patch. Let's go ahead and apply that. This is going to allow the direct boost to actually work here, so we're going to make sure we're turning this on. And the boost RAM address here, we're going to turn that to enable, and then the last one here, we're going to turn it to enabled. Okay, so now we turn our direct boost on. We've set our targets to 20 PSI. It's a good starting point. We'll go from there when we get into that situation where we're starting to do wide open throttle tuning. Now we have our knock detection. We're not going to touch anything right now. We may need to adjust a few things, but we'll have to see how that's going to go. We have a noise multiplier here that we can start to tweak and adjust. We also have a load threshold. This is going to be saying where it starts to look at the knock control feedback. Essentially 90 load and higher, 50 load and higher. Start to take a look at that depending on the RPM we're at here. And then we have our gain tables. These can also be adjusted too. I don't like to adjust them. I like to try to go after the noise multiplier first, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Idle RPM versus coolant temp. We're going to set all of our target idle RPM here at 950 for all of our points. The bigger injectors is going to idle a little smoother, so I want to go here from 171 coolant temperature to 180 and set these all to 950. Let's go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to repeat this. Now this is tedious and time consuming, and it is a little bit annoying why there's so many idle tables here, but we are going to be modifying these equally to each other just to make sure they're consistent. 950, I'll go through this process here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. I'm also going to go in here under the target idle and change this to 950. We're going to bump that up as well. We're going to change all of our target idles here to the same thing at 950. We're not going to touch our idle adder versus coolant temp, and we're not going to touch our idle timing compensation tables here. We're just going to finish up editing these tables and editing up our target idle. I don't need to talk anything more about this to do it. I'm just going to go through the process. It's going to take a few minutes. As soon as I completed that, we'll continue on, and then we'll go into the next section here, taking a look at our load programming. So let me go ahead and do this for the idle control, and then as soon as I complete it and setting all the tables to the same values, when I run the warm idle or for the target idles, we'll continue on. Okay, so I just completed setting up all of the idle control tables here, so they're all set to a target of 950, so the warm idle section here and the idle RPM versus coolant, and then the target idle speeds. Let's go ahead and close this out. Now under the load here, we're gonna go...
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.